In this tutorial, we'll take you through mapping out a car accident scene. First, we begin by creating a new drawing. We browse out to our folder and give our drawing a name. Next, we step through the wizard and accept the defaults for our coordinate file. We choose a new coordinate file using a text ASCII file format. Next, we browse out to the computer and we choose our ASCII point file. This can come from a data collector. After the points are imported, we go to the Field to Finish command and accept the defaults. Here we can see our range of points. Clicking OK brings in our line work and our points. Next, we're going to offset the center line of the road so that we can show the north side of edge of pavement. We enter in a desired 12-foot lane width and then a percent grade of -2 from the crown of the road. Next, we choose the center line of the road. Next, we're going to place images of the vehicle as it's traveled along its path to the crash site. So using the insert command, we place our first symbol on the right-hand side of the road. And then we run the command again, placing vehicles along the path and specifying a rotation. Next, we'll place one at the scene where we grazed the first tree, and then a final symbol just before impact at the final destination. Next, we're going to draw contour lines to give an idea of the surface conditions, whether it was hilly or flat. So we enter in some defaults for contours and labeling, and then we say OK. Next, we type in the keyword all to select all entities to build our surface from, and the contours are generated automatically for us. You can see that there's a bit of a slope along the road down to the point of impact at the tree. Next, we're going to turn off some extra text that we don't need to see in the drawing, such as point numbers and point elevations, using the layer command. Now we're going to trim some of the jagged lines on the ends of the contours to give it a more realistic look. So you can see there's some hooks at the ends of the contours that need to come off. So we're going to draw a polyline to represent our cutting edge, and then we're going to use the trim command to cut off the hooks from the contours. So I select the cutting edge, and then I can zoom in so I can pick precisely what portions of the contours I want to cut off. You can also type F for fence, and this kind of does some multiple selection for us. Anything crossing the fence line will be selected and then trimmed. And finally, we just erase our cutting edge, since that's not part of the drawing. Next, we're going to change the elevation of our road polylines to 0. Since they don't need to be 3D anymore, we've already generated our surface, we can set them to 0 elevation. This will allow us to change the width of the polylines, and we can add some bold lines to our drawing for emphasis to show driveways and edge of pavement. Now we're going to clean up some of the text around the trees. Using the points commands, we can move point attributes, select the text, and then place it below the tree where it's more readable. And the same thing for the 15-inch oak. We can also erase point attributes if we don't need to see them at all. Zooming in, we can remove the right rear tire marker. Now we'll place some cameras. So now we're going to explode the symbol for the final car location so that we can edit the shape of the car and show a crush deformation. First we'll erase the bumper. Next we'll highlight the geometry so that we can grip edit the corner of the car, showing the point of impact. This may take some manipulation because there are a lot of grips depending on the block you use. Now we're going to copy this car by using a solid window. We can use the Shift key and then click any objects to be removed from our selection. We specify a base point at the center of the car, and then we simply drag where we'd like the new copy to go. Now to show detail of the crush, we use the scale command. We'll scale up our car by about a factor of 5. And now we'll be able to dimension that crush and show the detail how many inches it was crushed. Going back to the scene of the accident, now we can place cameras and attach images that were taken at the scene. So we pick our camera position, and then we specify the target position and enter a symbol size for our camera symbol. 25 is a good magnification so that we can see it on the map clearly. Then we browse out and attach the photo that belongs to that particular camera symbol. Now we'll do the same thing on the north side. Since there was also an impact at the 9-inch oak, we can show where it grazed the tree. We have a third photo for that, so we'll place a third camera location at the 9-inch oak. Now we can insert an image that's viewable on the map next to the detail of the crush. So this image will always be visible and it will be plotted in the final plan. We pick our insertion point and then we can scale it to any size we like. Next we're going to add a point-to-point dimension to show the amount of crush on the front of the vehicle. So we'll pick our first and second points and then drag to the side for our extension lines. And here we can enter in the exact crush amount just in case we didn't grip edit the car exactly. And now we show 23 inches. We'll add another point-to-point dimension to show the distance from the point where the car left the road and came to its final stop. We'll place the dimension lines and then enter in the exact distance of 221 feet. Now we're going to place some text in the drawing to describe street names, residences, and a title for the map. So we'll pick a font. You can choose a font that best suits your department style, and then we'll issue the text command. We'll pick a start point for the street name and enter a text height. We'll let the rotation angle point due east and then enter in the street name. We'll repeat the same command, this time for the property address, and we'll center the text by typing C and then pick our center point and begin typing. After the first line is entered, we just hit enter again and the text command returns, and we'll place the second and third lines at the appropriate line spacing beneath the first line of text. Since we have some contour lines that go through our wording, we can use the trim command again, select the edge of pavement as the cutting edge, and then trim off the contours so we can read our text clearly. Now we can move the text and position it so that it has its own space. Next we'll draw our leader so that we can identify vehicle 1. Pick a start point. We'll hit the F8 key to turn off our ortho setting and then choose an endpoint for the leader. Now we'll issue the text command and we'll put vehicle 1. Okay, we'll save the drawing and we'll place a final map title just so that we can designate this. And using a little bit larger text height, we have our title. Now we're going to get into some of the accident reconstruction tools and show how some of the calculations can be done. So I'm going to enter a file name and a case title. The main screen can contain all your case information and investigating officer and so on. Next we'll go to the crush tab. We'll choose the pole tree setting and enter an angle of 0. And here we put in our 23 inches for our crush dimension and hit calculate. This gives us our speed change and velocity change. We'll next use these for calculating our skids, which will tell us our beginning speed. So we entered 221 feet, which was our distance from the pavement to the tree, a friction factor for the terrain, a road grade, ending speed, and braking efficiency. Ending speed, of course, was coming from our crush calculation, and if we press enter, you'll see our starting speed was 62 miles per hour when they left the pavement. So this kind of gives you an overview of the drafting and calculation tools of CSI Desktop.